Annika?
Yes?
I'm sorry. I didn't know you could turn me into a crow like that.
My dear, they can take my magic book, but never my cauldron. Are we going to behave like good little elflings?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I will bestow another story upon you. Hello there. I'm sorry, I was just giving my niece a lesson in etiquette. Isn't that right, Ithaca?
Yes, Aunt Annika.
Okay. What story would you like to hear?
I've heard that there's one quite popular amongst the humans race.
What would it be?
The so-called Beauty and the Beast.
Oh. Oh dear. Oh my. That is a story. It doesn't have a happy ending. Are you sure you want to hear a story that doesn't have a happy ending?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember any part of it that I told you?
I remember the beast came from a family, a very broken family.
You are listening. Well, the reason that I can tell the story better than your father was because I was there. For you see, there was a king and a queen, and they were good, kind, majestic rulers, very sweet people. They had one child, a daughter, named Rose. Anything but a rose, let me tell you. She was thorny, like a rose. But Ithaca, this girl was evil to her core. You think I'm evil. This girl was evil. She could scare the ugly off an ogre. Whew! Let me tell you. Her father and mother had spoiled her because she was an only child. But the mother fell pregnant unexpectedly. The girl was, I would dare say, 17 at this time. Well, back then that was grown. Not now. I would not suggest calling yourself an adult at 17. Horrific, if you ask me. But I digress. Where was I, Ithaca?
She wanted to rule the kingdom.
She did want to rule the kingdom. Indeed, you were listening. So she hatched a plan. The plan was to curse her beloved mother and the child that she bore. The curse was the night of the child's birth, the father would drop dead. The mother would die in childbirth, and the child would be born a beast. Creepy, right? Now I know all this because little old Inigo back then was a chambermaid. I like to parade around as a human once in a while just to do some mischievous things. Well, it turns out that the actual cook, the chef, the magistrate of the kitchen was evil. And one day, as I was in the kitchen, he had the audacity to grab my derriere, my potokis, my bidonkidonk. Yes, he did. I so happened to be friends with an ogre in the nearby bridge, and he was more than obliged to eat him for me. I had to clean up my mess, of course.
For you?
Hmm?
You said for you like you've eaten a human before.
More than my fair share, my child. Their hearts are especially tasty. You're young yet. You'll get there.
Are you related to the evil queen by any chance?
I am not related to the evil queen, and I'll have you know that she got most of her ideas from the elven woodland people. Whew. Don't get me started on Agatha. Where was I? The story. So the night of the birth came. As suddenly as it came, everything the daughter had wanted to do happened. Now, normally I try to mind my business. I am a bit nosy once in a while, but this night I wanted to mind my own business. Believe me, child, it is much better to stay out of royal affairs. Let me tell you. But when I saw that poor child that was born with hair all over his body, the gasp on everyone's face, they didn't even want to look upon him. Ugh! Ugly child.
Hair.
How?
Hair.
Hair. All over his face. All over his bottom, his back, his chest, everything had hair.
Like a dog.
Yes, exactly like a dog. And on his eyelids. Who has hair on the eyelids? That's not the point. This poor little boy, he was broken and ugly. And I just couldn't have that. There's evil and then there's cruelty. And she was being cruel to an animal. I'm sorry. That was uncalled for. So she had an accident that night too. She so happened to be pushed down the stairs by an elf. She was decapitated.
You didn't have anything to do with this, did you?
Oh, dear sweet child. Of course I did. How could I stay out of something so delicious? Her heart tasted like butter on the finest bread.
Didn't the Elven Council get a bit hasty?
Child, the Elven Council listens to me. I do not listen to them. Where was I? I will not go into how old I am, but I am much older than most of them. And the ones who are older than me, they're too old to hear anything that's going on. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. She's dead. The ogre enjoyed the rest of her. No one missed her, the evil little thing. She was mean to everyone. And the child, I looked after him. I pretended to be a maiden. For 17 more years, I pretended to be a maiden. I pretended to be a wet nurse. Imagine being a wet nurse when you have no milk to give. You wouldn't believe what I had to do. Well, he grew into quite the fine young beast, and I was proud. But you see, the story doesn't end there. That would be a happily ever after, because he was kind. There was a girl in the village, not far from town. Her father banished her to the forest because this girl was as evil as the night is black. She wasn't very nice. She wasn't very pretty. She didn't have a lot to offer, and she was a little, I'll say it, ignorant. It hurt her feelings that she couldn't read. It hurt my feelings that I couldn't kill her. But all things have a purpose, my dear. You'll come to find that out. You see, elves, we have a sort of sixth sense about who's going to be useful and who won't. That's why you're not a crow anymore.
What is that supposed to mean?
You long have a purpose. I couldn't leave you as a crow. Where was I? Oh, yes. So, what had happened was the girl stumbled upon the castle, and she made herself right at home, bossing and yelling and screaming, and our little beastie boy, Alexander was his name, he treated her kindly, never once losing his temper, never once losing his honor, just the way I raised him. Well, what had ended up happening was she got mad at him because he forbade her from entering his room. She turned his whole household into whatever job they had. If the pie keeper held the pies, he was a pie. If the lightsmith, well, you get the gist. He turned into a lantern. It was terrible.
Or perhaps a candlestick?
Oh, it was awful. It was so awful. All those poor people, even children. Oh. See, I do have a heart, even if it's the ones I have to eat. Where was I? Oh, yes. She turned them, and the beast cried day and night. He felt that he had brought this on his people, but he could not bear to be mean to her. So he got this idea. He had saw her ogling the books in his master grand library, and he told them, leave it open for her, and I'll read to her. And day and night he took her into the library and taught her all the words she'd ever want to know. And her heart began to melt. It began to melt like snow in the summer. And he said, why are you so angry? And she said, because, dear beast, my mother, Belle, she left me as a child due to the plague.
Aunt, how could one be so heartbroken when they even know her own mother?
Oh, child, the bond between mother and child grows deep. For you see, a mother feels her child's heart beating in the womb, and the child hears the mother's heart just the same. The girl wanted a mother. Can't blame her for that.
So why didn't her father ever remarry?
He was ugly. Not to be rude, he was ugly. Her mother was blind. Where was I? Oh, yes. You're making me sound awfully mean, but the truth is the truth and it must be told. Where was I? She turned them. He helped her. She learned to read, became a better person, realized her wrongdoing. And when she went to go get her father and apologize, wolves attacked her. The beast, he could not let this happen, even though she had ruined his whole household and hurt him so severely. He saved her. He doctored her back to health. He fed her. He read to her. She fell in love. And her heart, this one broken piece of glass of a heart, opened up like a flower.
Perhaps like a rose?
Like a rose, indeed. Her name was Isabel, and she was beautiful, named after her mother. And she knew in that moment what she had to do. She told him, I'm going to turn everyone back to normal. And she did. And they were younger and healthier and happier than ever before. What?
Off topic, I think you left one of your, tingling, shrunken heads mouth unzipped.
I know. I'm letting the gremlins run free tonight. It's a gift, one would say. Okay, on with the story. This part is kind of sad, but oh well. It must be told. So, she fell in love with him, her heart opened, blah blah blah. And she kissed him. And in that moment, the hair on his body fell off. And in that very moment, the same exact moment, Isabel knew that her life was over. Because to take his curse is to bring it upon yourself. Death itself. She lay there dead, and this young, handsome man staring down at her. Understood he would forever be alone. Never to love, only to be broken. That is the story. And I believe he was the beauty and she was truly the beast. What do you think?
Quite different and more tearful than the humans.
Oh, don't worry, child. Do you think I would honestly leave it at that? I did something very nice. Would you like to know what it was?
Okay,
Would you really?
sure.
I left a puppy on his doorstep. He wouldn't be so lonely. And he probably missed all that fur.
We got 101 Dalmatians, male version.
Oh, we can't reference that. That's not real.
Right. Just in the the elven myths, just to scare us off.
No, dear child. So I hope you enjoyed my story. For it is very true. And if you want to know more, then come back to me and I'll tell you more. For you see, my beautiful creatures, the next story I shall tell is a true ghost story in honor of your whimsical Halloween spirits. I love humans. They're so fun. Once a year. Alrighty then. Toodaloo, my darlings. Say goodbye, Ithaca.
Goodbye.